excited to be on today's show. This is going to be special, everyone. You know why? Because I've got JoAnn Holmes on the show today. She's a leading figure in the AI, Web3, IP, blockchain, tech space. And JoAnn, I've been watching your work and watching what you've been doing for so long. Thanks for being on the show this morning. Really appreciate it.
It is my absolute honor and pleasure, Mitch. And likewise, I've watched your career and been so impressed and appreciate your generosity to the legal and business community. So I'm really happy to jump in this exciting time in emerging tech.
It is an exciting time. There's a lot going on, right? And you guys, we are broadcasting this across all the platforms. Hit the share button. We are taking live questions. This is going to be fun. And I think to start things off, JoAnn, I need to give you a proper introduction just to give context to all the value, to all the insights that my audience and my community are going to hear from you. So let's go ahead and get started with an introduction of JoAnn Holmes. JoAnn practices in the areas of digital asset law, which includes non-fungible tokens, DAOs, the metaverse, blockchain, and intellectual property or IP. She helps innovators, brands, and creators monetize IP, build Web3 revenue, and manage evolving legal risk. And we're going to be talking about those legal risks today, especially with this new administration coming into office. Over her 20-plus year career, Jo has closed profitable deals with respected brands like Disney, Microsoft, and the NFL. She oversees IP portfolios spanning 125 different countries and has managed intangible assets generating over $2 billion in annual revenue. Jo serves on the inaugural Blockchain Law for Social Good Center board and is featured among the global top 100 women in the future. She regularly advises elite accelerators, easy for me to say early in the morning, like Techstars, Dapper Labs, and the Atlantic Blockchain Center. But today, everyone, we've got Jo here with us on Morning Coffee. So this is going to be fun. Jo, everyone's talking about Bitcoin right now, right? I mean, according to the numbers, something like, I'll let you tell me, 50 million Americans have some interest in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. There's a lot of changing taking place. It's already reached its all-time high. Why don't we start with that? What's going through your mind right now as you watch what's happening around the world in this space?
You know, first of all, Mitch, I appreciate the context that you just provided. Cryptocurrency, digital assets, not unlike AI, are global first technologies. So they hit the entire world at the same time. And what's really interesting about Bitcoin is, yes, while over 50 million Americans own digital assets, including cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, it's also the case that, this is a technology that is impacting people abroad in the developing world, and it's not going to go away. And so one of the reasons that I care very much about this space, and one of the things that I think America is telling us in the last election, is that we are choosing to lean into economic opportunity. And what's really exciting for me as someone who advises business leaders around how to leverage emerging technology, and in a world where less than 2% of VC funding goes to women, then it's really exciting to me what's coming down the pike around the opportunity for token distribution and the opportunity for non-accredited and regular people to both involve digital assets and emerging tech and building their own businesses, but also on a more personal level to invest and build wealth themselves. So I think what the appreciation in Bitcoin and what the election is showing us is that America is going to lean into economic opportunity and innovation.
I love that. We're already getting questions, Jo. And by the way, JoAnn goes by Jo, and she told me it was okay to refer to her as Jo to our community. So I've got a community full of creators, artists, entrepreneurs, business owners, and I've got a couple of questions. What's a digital asset? What do you mean there's investment opportunities? We have a lot to cover today. But Jo, talk a little bit, if you don't mind, because people are interested. What got you interested in tech and being a lawyer in the tech space? Can we just briefly go over a little bit of your background? Because, that's fascinating to me, and I'm glad you're here. But what got you up in the mornings one morning and said, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do for a living?
Oh, so let me step back and give a little bit of context. So I have been an IP attorney for 25 years. And what's really exciting for me about this time is having practiced law throughout my career, I have seen new technologies emerge, and I've seen them go from being something where people are fearful and lacking in information to being something that they're leaning into in terms of building their personal wealth and investments and integrating into their businesses. So in 1999, when I started practicing law, we were right at the cusp of the internet, and people were saying, never put my financial information online. There's only fraudsters and scammers. There was lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the late 90s and early 2000s around the internet and e-commerce. And we're seeing those same things happening again. Both I and my daughter are Stanford University alum. And so I had the benefit of not only being there when it was incubating a lot of our Web 1 and Web 2 companies, like Yahoo or like Google, but also through my daughter asking, what is the perception of cryptocurrencies and digital assets on campus during her time there? And she was very frank about the fact that young people grew up in a digital, connected, decentralized world. And so having been an investor for more than 2 decades myself, the intellectual property components, the emerging technology career merged with my geeky macroeconomics and finance interested self. And I saw that there's a unique opportunity, Mitch. And what really excites me is the value of Web3 is decentralization. We don't have to go through a middleman to be able to offer value on a global basis and be compensated for that. We don't have to go through banks. We don't have the gatekeepers who have traditionally been an obstacle to marginalized communities. And so what I'm really excited about going forward is being one of the ambassadors of this technology, so that whether you're in marketing, whether you're in finance, whether you're in law, that you are preparing for the coming world where particularly AI is going to impact all of us, and to participate in the opportunities to bring your talents into this space. So I'm here with you, as I have been over 30 times in the US and abroad, so that people see different faces and hear different voices around why you belong in this space and the value you can add.
Well, after last week, we're certainly going to see different voices, hear different voices, and see different faces, I think, in this space when it comes to regulatory issues, when it comes to many of the legal finance things that you and I are going to talk about today. I'm going to just hand the ball off to you and let you run with it a little bit. And what I mean by that is, based upon what's gone down last week, based upon your interest in this space, what are some things that you feel like my community might want to pay attention to moving forward? And by the way, in addition to artists and creators, we also have founders. Many of my clients are part of our community. What do they need to be paying attention to? What are you excited about? And what would you pump the brakes on a little bit and maybe have people double down on due diligence with upcoming anticipated issues?
Sure, and thank you for that, Mitch. I mean, there's a lot that I think we have an opportunity to lean into and be optimistic about. And in that regard, I would say that, again, when you're dealing with global first technologies, it's important to understand that while innovation always front runs law, law is going to eventually catch up. And so what has happened is, what so many people know is just what is reported in the media. I literally listened to a podcast this morning where the same old, frankly, under-informed concepts are being shared about cryptocurrencies. And so you hear the things that are pejorative. What is exciting to me is the opportunity. And also the fact that while the mass public is receiving the pejorative perspectives on this, businesses are integrating blockchain technology. Businesses are integrating AI. Let me give you an example. If you're signing documents online, right, that is happening in the background, very likely on a blockchain. If you live in the state of California, they've already moved forward with integrating blockchain through government. Why? Because it's an opportunity, again, to have transparency, to avoid a middle person and to reduce costs. So to your business leaders who are listening, understand that there are a number of opportunities for you to follow that model and do the same thing. I don't ever encourage my clients to just jump in because something is the topic du jour of the moment. But let's talk about blockchain. If there are ways that you can specifically reduce cost, improve efficiency, or provide additional value to your customers, there's absolutely reason to integrate blockchain technology. If we look at the US Treasury, for example, stable coins, which are simply a way that, if you invest in Bitcoin, for example, you see that it's a very volatile asset. You see that the price fluctuation varies quite a bit. As we're speaking today on November 12th, 2024, Bitcoin appreciated roughly $9,000 to $10,000 over the 24-hour period between Sunday and Monday. That's a pretty substantial appreciation. Since its inception, Bitcoin has appreciated 17,000%. It's up 99% relative to the NASDAQ. So this is a technology and it is an investment opportunity. And so you see companies like MicroStrategy famously, who are leaning into owning Bitcoin as an asset in its treasury. When you have stable coins, which are intended to be less volatile, so they are pegged, for example, to the US dollar or the euro or the Japanese yen. So we're expecting that Congress is going to hopefully first focus on stablecoin technology. What does that do? That creates an opportunity to export the US dollar, the dominant global currency, to every corner of the world. Because if you live in a country, for example, where your currency is also volatile, then you might, instead of wanting to own a peso or another asset, you would, for example, want to own a stable coin so that that asset is always pegged to the stability of a US dollar or euro.
Can I ask you a quick question real quick? I've had a couple of questions. What is a stable coin? What do you mean by digital currency? If you don't mind, just maybe
Sure, absolutely. So let's start from first principles, right? There are lots of different cryptocurrencies. There are over 10,000 of them. Some of them are actually coins. So for example, Bitcoin, Solana has Sol, or Ethereum has ETH. And those are the monetary units that allow for transactions to happen on a blockchain. So what is a blockchain? A blockchain is just a way for an if-then transaction to occur. It is a decentralized ledger. So if I want to buy a loaf of bread, I can walk into my local grocery store and I can give them cash, or I can present a debit card, or I can present a credit card. If I'm presenting a debit or a credit card, then a bank and an intermediary like Visa or MasterCard are making sure that the grocery store knows they're going to receive their money. It's giving them that confidence through the middleman entity. And there is a cost that goes to that middleman. What happens instead on a blockchain is computers all over the world are verifying that I have the money to pay for that loaf of bread and that the grocery store is going to receive it. Some of those cryptocurrencies, many of them are going to fluctuate in value. So you have, again, the coins that are the coin of the realm, if you will, of a blockchain to make sure that transactions are verified. Then you have tokens, and tokens can be any number of things. They can be non-fungible tokens that sometimes represent art, like we heard about in the last Web3 cycle. They can be stable coins, which again are the digital version on a blockchain, similar to a dollar or a euro or a peso or a yen. They're literally just supposed to remain stable, just like holding a dollar in your wallet. And then we have other kinds of coins that are frankly gambling and community-based instruments like meme coins. So you might have heard of Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. So digital assets are literally just taking things that could have existed in the physical world, let's say like a baseball card, and making them, presenting them online. There are many, many things that we have traditionally had as physical formats that into the future we are going to hold in a digital format. Do you think that answers the question, Mitch?
I think it answers the question beautifully. Thank you, Jo. That was wonderful. And so there's a lot to learn in this space, even though this space is new, right? There's a lot going on quickly. And it's important that people do their due diligence. And I'm sure you would agree with me on that. And so everyone, if you're not sure about what we're talking about, spend time, do your due diligence, connect with people that can explain this to you. from a very objective, neutral, well-informed perspective, right? So with the new administration, with what's happening moving forward, whether it might be wrapping, its digital arms around cryptocurrency or reducing regulations when it comes to some of the other tools we're looking at, whether it's DAOs, whether it's non-fungible tokens, whatever it may be, digital assets. What are some things that you're paying attention to moving forward into 2025 that you think maybe we should be paying attention to also?
So
And you're getting a lot of nice comments here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's nice to see everybody giving you praise.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And to everyone, my goal is always to make this space more accessible and to help people feel like you belong here. And we need everyone's talents in this space. So I appreciate the kind feedback, and I'm happy, genuinely happy to be helpful. In terms of what I'm looking forward to, this is still a relatively new technology when we're talking about cryptocurrency in specific. And believe it or not, 15 years in, we're still relatively early. And so I always want to encourage people, don't feel like you've missed the opportunity. You and I, Mitch, are very fortunate and feel a sense of responsibility that people trust our knowledge in this space. And I would absolutely echo what you said. Find trusted sources. I would encourage people to follow me here on LinkedIn. I will continue to be a resource to the business and creative community. What I would say is what has happened, because law always takes more time to catch up to innovation, is that our lawmakers and our regulators, I'm optimistic they are going to lean into trying to encourage and grow innovation in the United States. Silicon Valley has a global reputation, and many members of that community were invested in our most recent election in supporting politicians who understand the promise of emerging technology. But we know that every innovation from fire to blockchain to AI has both positive and detrimental impacts. And so what I am looking for as a member of this emerging technology community is a balance between encouraging the innovation here in the United States, catching up, frankly, with the global community. We know if we look at the UAE, if we look at Singapore, if we look at Hong Kong, if we look at the EU, all of those communities are inviting this innovation. So we've got some catching up to do. We know that Hester Peirce, for example, at the Securities and Exchange Commission, has suggested things like having a safe harbor where an entity cannot get so big that they're going to cause existential harm, but that we're giving them a sandbox in which they can innovate and share their ideas and build community without being afraid of regulation through enforcement. And unfortunately, that's what's happened very recently. There is a real criticism in this community that the current chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission has aggressively gone after organizations who have, including publicly traded organizations, who have really sought to be in compliance with law. But a key challenge has been we're taking 1930s and 1940s era law and applying it to current and future innovation. And that framework simply has not worked. So the hope is that with our legislators in Congress understanding that this is innovation that won't go away, they will both create opportunities and legal frameworks for this innovation to flourish here in the United States, but also for investors to be protected. Mitch, I have had conversations, heartbreaking conversations, with people who have said to me, Jo, I put my life savings into this innovation. I believed the people who were leading this project, and they betrayed my trust, and I don't know what to do now. And let me tell you, as someone who stands in this space, and I'm going to say something that a lot of people might not like me to say, I am a Christian woman. I am not going to do anything that betrays my faith and principles. I don't want anyone to feel the heartbreak that I have heard other people face. And so my goal is to help people have the information and support sound policy so that everyone has a fair opportunity to bring their talents into this space. And so I think that what that looks like is us getting better laws that lead to sound regulation so that everyone can participate in this innovation. It's not going away. It's going to impact us all. And I want everyone to feel welcomed here.
Let me paraphrase some questions that I'm getting, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let me put them together. So, because this is very complicated stuff, and for a lot of people, they're getting their information from listening to a 15 minutes on an X space, or maybe to a conversation in a Discord, and they're making business decisions and financial decisions based upon the advice of somebody that's got the gift of gab, a very entertaining and animated voice, but there's no due diligence. It's like, how do you know this person's not trying to mislead you? And what I'm hearing here is, how do we figure out or determine that the information we're relying upon to start our DAO, to purchase our NFTs, to start buying cryptocurrency is actually well-meaning, valid, focused, objective advice or information? How do we filter this out? Do you have any suggestions as a lawyer? I know I do, everyone. This is all about Joe today, but you can reach out to me afterwards and I'll share my due diligence approaches. But how do people do their due diligence before diving in headfirst into some of these different technologies?
So first of all, let me express my gratitude for you earning and deserving the very sound reputation that you have, Mitch. And I would absolutely encourage people to seek out your resources. What I would say is, first of all, I understand your fears. There have been a lot of well-publicized occasions where people have betrayed trust. So what I would encourage people to do is find and look for the opportunities that make sense for you to push you past the fear. Mm-hmm. What I find is, I have a group of young people who I really believe in, and what they have on their side is time. And so I will say to them, literally start with $20 invested in Bitcoin through Cash App or in your Robinhood account, right? Because where our money is, frankly, our attention follows. And so what I don't want anyone to do is invest beyond what you have a risk tolerance for, whether that is in your business or in your personal investments, but come off of zero. Put something into the space. And this is not financial advice. It's frankly not also legal advice. It's put yourself in a position to learn. 20 years ago, that might have been open an email account, right? So that you just start to learn around the internet and what promise and opportunity it has. 20 years ago, it might have been read the news online. So all of us, I think, have a responsibility to continue to be educated in this space. Do not invest more than you are willing to lose. But I think once you start to learn, like any other innovation, you will start to get more comfortable and realize where the opportunities are. I would also say seek out vetted, trusted voices. And that's hard because there were people who were trusted in the last Web3 cycle who misused and abused that trust. But there are many trusted voices out there to be found. Listen to them. When you hear someone who's interviewed, like I hope today, who is giving you information and facts and encouraging you to go do your own resource, follow them. You will find out who they follow. They will bring in other trusted voices. There's not a magic solution. There is a journey to get more educated on an ongoing basis. And I think for business leaders, it is a necessity for you to be engaged because this technology is not going to stop. And if you engage early, like we are now, it gives you an opportunity for competitive advantage. For parents, your children are comfortable with these innovations. This is an opportunity for you to lean into that and be a good steward for them. For creators, you have opportunities to directly engage with your audiences, to provide value to them, to get to know them better and to understand what they need from you. So for every segment of society, there are opportunities for you to just start and then grow and learn from there.
Joe, you said something about this being a journey, and we're early in the journey. And on any journey, we're going to be taking a wrong turn. You're going to trip over a speed bump. Things happen. That doesn't mean it should necessarily be the end of your journey. It means you should pick yourself up, figure out what just happened, adjust, pivot, learn, and keep moving forward. And as you said, I do see this technology changing the world. The question is, how can we safely become a part of it, whether it's through digital currency or leveraging smart contracts, DAOs, and non-fungible tokens or digital assets to complement our business efforts to create better client experiences. And with that in mind, a couple of questions I think in the last few minutes that I've got you this morning, and we're going to wrap up at the end of the hour, at the bottom of the hour, everybody, is for companies that want to bring in digital technology, whether it's digital assets, DAOs, smart contracts into their companies. Talk to us a little bit about training their team, about everybody being on the same page. Instead of 20 different people doing 20 different things, how important education, coordination, and facilitating the implementation of this technology is with both small, medium, and large size companies. That's where I see people dropping the ball.
Absolutely, Mitch. And when I advise my clients, I mean, I have literally had conversations with everyone from professionals who are pivoting into this space as entrepreneurs and building businesses based on emerging technology to mid-sized companies looking to catalyze their growth and be able to serve Fortune 500 organizations, to literally sovereign wealth and independent countries who are looking through the opportunities to spur economic opportunity and financialize cryptocurrencies in their treasuries. So I'm fortunate to have a broad spectrum of experience in this space. And what I would say is, if you are a small business, I find it very gratifying to speak to experienced business leaders and really hone in on those principles that we talked about before. How are you providing additional value, reducing cost, or improving efficiency, and leveraging legal compliance so that you have a competitive advantage? That is consistent no matter what size business. With small businesses, one of the things that they find really encouraging is that I do strategic work with them on a flat rate basis. With mid-sized companies, what I really enjoy doing is bringing together the core leaders. And so that means like functional representation from marketing, sales, R&D, finance, and really bringing together a cohort that can think through, what are your business objectives? What does the budget look like to leverage on that? What are you hearing from your clients? What do you understand is an unmet need, so that we can comprehensively build a plan that every department understands how they fit in and how they can leverage the opportunity. And for large companies, unfortunately, the reality is that there are oftentimes silos. There are different budgets and business objectives. And so it might make sense to have, like Nike has done, for example, to have a focused group that is going to set the example for the larger organization on how to leverage these innovations. What's happened in a lot of cases is that's been happening behind the scenes. And for example, blockchain technology is being used, but it's not necessarily being externally publicized. I think that just like AI is now being publicized, blockchain innovations are going to come back into favor with this new administration. And so there is an opportunity across every scale of business.
You know what I would love to do, JoAnn, if you have time, in about a year, I would like to come back and talk about how AI, blockchain, and smart contract technology are all working together to make us faster, better, more efficient, deliver better results. I actually see, for example, in litigation, tapping, swiping, clicking on a digital asset that has all CRM case information, opposing counsel, billion data points, and depending on the stipulation of parties, it gets filed with the court, discovery is automatically done. Things get resolved in minutes instead of years, depending on the type of case and the nature of the mindset of all parties involved. It's going to change everything. And you just went through about 10 or 15 different issues, questions, things small, medium, and large size business owners need to pay attention to. Everyone, you can start researching the things that JoAnn just mentioned this afternoon. And literally, and I think she'll be the first to tell you this, we're early. And if you start implementing this stuff now, you're going to be so far ahead of your competition in the next couple of months, right? This isn't brain surgery. This isn't rocket science. This is, right? I mean, JoAnn, this is like, just get your hands dirty and start learning this technology. That's what it's all about. JoAnn, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to connect, get their questions answered, and have you help them take their businesses to the next level?
Thank you for that, Mitch. So my website is Holmes at Law. That's Holmes like Sherlock, ATLAW.com, which is at the bottom of the screen. I always encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the place that I am most present and engaged. And I would just encourage people. I know that you might have some fear and trepidation, but this moment and this opportunity calls for educating yourselves and for courage. And I am in that fight with you. So please join us.
Please join JoAnn in this journey that we're taking together. I'm always here for you guys, and this has been amazing. JoAnn, thank you very much. Everyone's joined us both live and recorded. We appreciate you. This is a very interesting upside down AI Web3 digital asset focused journey, and enjoy it, experiment, have fun, kick the tires in between now and the next time we meet. Enjoy every single moment and make each day your masterpiece. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thank you, JoAnn. Really appreciate it.